Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Geographically? Geographically. This is cool. So I would say make sure that pretty face is showing.
Yes, true.
They're going to want to see that thing. They're going to want to see that thing, Alan. That face. You good? Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where Alan and I sat down and talked about vulnerability while getting vulnerable. Today, we're going to do a Scratching the Surface episode on the digital world versus the real world.
This is a fascinating topic that prior to 30 years ago, we couldn't possibly talk about.
Right.
Maybe even a decade ago, really, since social media has gotten so big. But first, real quick, as you know, friendly reminder, go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com, click the button, join hashtag HyperConsciousNation. Folks, the morning minutes are coming to your inbox Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're getting really good. I review them all, and they are going to kickstart your days off right.
And like Alan said, we revamped the website. So if you go to the courses page, click the courses tab, you will gain access to our vault of the courses that we're always talking about. I think one of the biggest reasons that I'm where I am now is because of mentors. And if you don't have people in your life who are super into personal development, that'll help you to become more hyperconscious.
Folks, Kevin and I don't have the time to mentor everybody one-on-one, just like our one-on-one clients, but these courses really are fire. I'll tell you what one of my mentors said to me one time. Alan, I love that you're not intellectually lazy. In other words, we live in a world where, again, we're going to get into this in the episode of digital versus the real world, but the digital world is constantly, a lot of the times, living on the shallows, but never underestimate the power of long-form content. Those videos are anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes long on those courses. I think we did one on calories that was like 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was a quickie.
But digging deep and actually learning something will change your life, even though it does seem like a pain in the butt in the moment.
I dig it. All right, so this episode came about because Alan and I spent a lot of time on social media, posting to social media. We know people who are big in social media, and I think that one of the things that fires me up more than anything is Snapchat filters. I did a song about it. I think if you listen, you probably know that they get me fired up. Now, not from the aspect of you shouldn't use them. I think if you want to use a Snapchat filter, if you think it looks cute as a dog, that's fine. But what I want you to realize is there a downside of what you're doing? If there is, are you realizing what the downside is? So let's just say, for example, there are apps out there that you can make your nose smaller, you can make your teeth whiter, you can make your skin clearer, you can give yourself abs, you can, Photoshop to make yourself look skinnier and your waist skinnier and all that stuff. Now, I understand that has been happening for a lot of years. Like, when people were on magazine covers 15, 20, 30 years ago, I'm sure that they were capable of doing that. But the problem is now everybody is capable of doing that. So maybe a celebrity or an influencer who you follow, they're capable of doing that. So that might not even really be what they look like. And I think that's one of the things that pisses me off more than anything is people are advertising themselves as looking a certain way, and that's not really what they look like. So you're taking advice based off of that. And that's not even true sometimes. That fires me up.
So one of the places I wanted to take this was back in high school, you and I would watch movies and TV of actors that were actually in their 30s that were playing people in high school.
Yes.
Right. And so not even including the fact that Movie Magic has the right angles and the right lighting and that these people have the best personal trainers in the world, and in some cases they do paint on abs and such.
Getting the sauce.
Young kids who don't know any better, in other words, they're not hyper-conscious yet because they're kids, are comparing themselves to these superficial objectives that are quite literally unattainable because they're not even real. And it gets even worse for the ladies out there who are young girls that are looking at Kim Kardashian and surgery, people that have had surgery and filters and all this stuff. So what Kevin and I went through in high school as young men looking at people like Brad Pitt in Fight Club is now everywhere all the time, 24/7 in your pocket.
Yeah.
What do we do about that?
What I was going to say is I don't have a problem with the movies.
Right.
I don't have a problem with the fact that you're making $30 million for this movie, getting the best shape you can get. And also, the budget for this movie is $1 billion, so we can afford to make you look as good as possible. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I think the problem is, like you said, now it's in your pocket.
Yep.
Everybody has the capability to paint on abs or to use Facetune and make your nose smaller, whatever it is. It's just like, for me, if you don't love yourself the way you are, putting a filter on yourself is going to, maybe people will like the way you look, but it starts with you. You have to figure out, what don't you love about, oh, my nose is big. Okay, maybe your nose is big for your face, but that's the reality of it. Guys, what am I going to do? Photoshop myself as 6'2" next to Alan? I could do that. And then I would never be able to meet any of you in person because you would realize quickly that I'm not who I say I am.
Right.
And I am so big on being authentic. That might be the thing that I am the most passionate about, is being an authentic person who practices what he preaches, who is what he says he is, who admits his faults, who is... guys, I'm self-conscious about being short. I say it all the time. I just am. But me making myself taller in an app is not going to fix that. That will fix the perception, right? That will make me look different in the digital world, but in the real world, I'm still the same. And I also, now I have to keep up this standard.
Right.
Now I have to keep up this image that isn't real.
What are the steps of, when someone passes away, there are steps to it. And number one is acceptance. But the reason I bring this up is you accept the fact that you're self-conscious about being short. Mm-hmm. How is you pretending in the digital world that you're tall going to help you accept the fact that you're short and love yourself for being short?
It's not. It's going to make it worse.
Right. It's going to make it worse in the long term.
Right. Now, okay, let's do this. How tall is Tom Cruise?
5'7", 5'6"?
Right. He looks like a giant in his movies.
Yeah, he does.
So, if you were to go take a picture with Tom Cruise, there is a chance that he would have a block next to him that he would stand on. That is something that people do.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because everybody thinks you're a certain height. Everybody thinks you're in a certain shape. And I think it's a dangerous game, guys, because it's not going to fix anything. It's going to fix what people's perceptions of you are. But that's not the problem. The problem is your perception of yourself. And there's no way to change that unless if you feel like you're not smart, then you can study and you can try to get smarter.
Right.
If you feel like, oh, I'm kind of out of shape, you can go to the gym. You can hire a nutritionist. You can do all sorts of things. Look at YouTube videos. If you have bad skin, maybe you get on a certain medication. Maybe you make sure you drink more water, avoid certain foods, whatever your dermatologist or whatever it is says. If you're short, like me, you have to accept it.
Right.
If you have a nose that you don't like, maybe you can get surgery on it. Okay, sure, that's something you can do. But there are going to be certain things about you that you're unable to fix.
And therefore you must accept.
It's
and
either
learn
accept,
to love them.
Yeah, what's the other option?
Then be miserable.
Yeah.
About it.
And
let
I think
let it bother you.
It's so easy now to make everything look good with filters and with,
right.
Again, nothing against girls who post butt pics on Instagram, but you have to cock your leg up the same way every time.
Right.
Because that's what makes it look good. Again, I'm not mad at this. I just want to make sure that you realize
that it's not real.
That it's not necessarily real. That's
right.
not. It's marketing.
I always call it Instagram land.
Yeah, it's marketing.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people don't talk about this.
Right.
A lot of people don't talk about this. But every picture you see on my Instagram is me. It simply is me. Have I chosen the best one? Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But there's no filter. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. That's why I don't look like a lot of the guys do, I guess. But
None of my photos are filtered either. This is a really important episode because what the movies used to do was to make a movie that appears to be reality, even though it's... So, for example, Brad Pitt and Troy, how many times did they take that shot of him running up the beach, in order to make it look perfect? $1 billion movie, we get it. I think it probably cost $200 million to make that movie. But the point is now what happens when everyone has the opportunity to appear to be something that they're not? Facetune allows you to, like Kevin mentioned, literally change your facial features. It allows you to whiten teeth. It allows you to blur out backgrounds. So not only are people picking the best photos, I'll tell you this, as a model, so I've done 26 video or photo shoots.
how many nudes?
None. No nudes. No nudes.
Yet.
No nudes. And there will not be any nudes. A couple underwear shots though, if you want to see those.
No, definitely not.
Nope. In Hanes underwear. I gotta get some Calvin
Hanes.
Kleins. Yeah, right. But enough making fun of me here.
Yes.
As I spit into the mic. My apologies.
And all over your partner in crime
My
here.
partner in crime. So 26 video shoots and photo shoots in, I can tell you wholeheartedly that it takes hundreds of shots to get, maybe 50 good ones. And a lot of people are taking, who was it? Sarah Dodd said that people think that she travels and she takes these wonderful photos while she's traveling. She's like, it might have taken 50 shots for me to get this one sunset, this one perfect picture. What happens when you're living in Instagram a large part of your day? Your brain quite literally cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's not. That's why when you're at a movie, you cry. These are actors being paid and actresses being paid. We interviewed Ryan Bliss. You want to get behind movies?
Oh, yeah.
That interview is fire.
Such an interesting interview.
Right. He's a director, and his feature film is actually coming out soon. But the point is that we cry in movies. Why? Because our brain can't tell the difference. We connect with the characters as if they're real. What happens when we start perceiving things that we think are real that are not real, and then holding ourselves to a standard we'll never hit? This scares the shit out of me. Yeah. Because 300, they have painted on abs, okay? What happens when people on Instagram are doing that? By the way, a lot of these people on Instagram aren't natural athletes. What if you want to be a natural athlete and you're aspiring to be like Phil Heath because you didn't know that he was on drugs?
For those who don't know, Phil Heath is the 7 or 8-time Mr. Olympia. Mr. Olympia is the greatest award you can win in bodybuilding, and none of them are natural, and I don't think they would ever claim to be, but yeah,
right.
You can tell.
I'll give an example. So there's a friend of mine who was at the gym at Anytime Fitness, and he was watching Sadiq. Sadiq, I forget his last name.
Hadzovic. He's another bodybuilder.
Yeah. And good for Sadiq. Sadiq's super hardworking. I have no problems with Sadiq. But he's very clearly not a natural athlete. This person thought he was. And I remember thinking to myself, that one misbelief will literally mean that you'll be chasing something you can never attain naturally. And this person I know wanted to stay a natural athlete and was trying to look like Sadiq. You'll never win. You'll never win because Sadiq isn't necessarily coming out and saying to everyone, by the way, I do steroids, but he does. And so this is the problem with Instagram.
Allegedly.
It's not the whole truth. Right, allegedly. Right, let's just, even us, we have to pretend, right? Okay, allegedly Sadiq does steroids. The point is this. If you're not setting your goals based on the truth, you might be setting goals that are quite literally not attainable based on what you believe attained them.
So I think the biggest thing, I remember we were talking in the car about this. When we decided we were going to do this episode, Alan and I were driving into Boston for our day with Dave Meltzer.
Yep.
And I remember saying, like, the problem is now Instagram is the new TV. Mm-hmm. And these actors are quote-unquote regular people. So you might think the person that you're following is a regular person with an extraordinary body, or what you don't know is they make a living off of Instagram. Yeah. So it still is like a TV show.
Kind of.
They're making... they're doing photo shoots for the pictures. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you can make
I'm doing that.
Right.
I have photo shoots.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Yep.
If you can make it a living off Instagram, good for you. Like that's
Right.
That's our goal.
Yeah,
we
100%.
want to be part of that.
Right.
But
That's
there's
the new TV is the phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the problem is when it's not a movie, when it's not an actor, when it's not somebody who's uber famous, you might not necessarily link up that, oh, this person's also capable of doctoring their photos. And like even jumping off of doctoring photos, there's people who rent a jet for a day and take pictures of it.
Right.
And they don't own a jet.
Yeah.
They've never been in a private jet other than that time, or they rent cars.
Right.
Like rappers do it all the time for their music videos.
Right.
Again.
But now music videos are everybody can make a music video.
Right.
Right.
Right. So when you lower the bar to enter the game, you're also going to have far less real. There's going to be a lot of fakery going on.
There's so much.
I know.
There's Instagram land is. Here's another thing that's super important to say. There are a lot of people on Instagram. So I have this new series that I started called Natural Fitness Fundamentals. And if you've been on my Instagram, you can see that it's I don't want to call it boring, but it's the fundamentals. Okay, folks. If you're into fitness and you go on Instagram and you search the high-hitting videos on fitness, those things are the shiny objects. They're the workouts that didn't get the physique. I saw someone recently doing a movement that I was like, that was clearly found on Instagram because that got attention. Because what is rare gets attention. Here's the problem. What is rare doesn't necessarily mean it's a fundamental that actually got the actual physique. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen a fitness influencer doing a workout that I know is not the way they got their body.
That's a whole nother thing, man. Influencer. I want to be an influencer. I want to be a positive influencer. I want to influence change. I want to influence growth and evolution. So it's like, I don't know. This whole thing, it blows my mind.
It's never been a problem before, ever in human history
I don't want to preach negative. I don't want to put negativity out there, but I think this is the truth.
It is the truth.
There are ways to look at this. There are different ways to look at this. But then again, okay, so for instance, one of my clients, she said, I want to get rid of my Instagram, my social media. I said, I think that's a great idea. I think, honestly, if I didn't have the job I have, I probably wouldn't be nearly, on it nearly as much. And I said, you have to understand, social media is not good for you if you find yourself comparing to those people. Because again, it's not an even
comparing
field.
To the reality.
No, you're not in an even playing field.
Nope.
Because you don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And I said, you have to also understand, if you have anxiety like I do, if you deal with anxiety, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is roll over and start scrolling through social media, you are literally setting yourself up for a negative mindset throughout the day. Especially if you like struggle with comparing yourself to other people. That is what you're going to be doing the whole time. Now, I think it's different when you're watching a movie because in your mind you can link up. That's an actor.
Right.
There's a budget. This is a movie. They're playing a character. You have to understand a lot of people on Instagram are playing characters too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the best way to put it.
I heard a quote recently by Gary Vee. He said this, and it stuck with me because I think it's true. He said, whether you like it or not, this right here, and he held up his phone, is the remote control to our lives. I truly believe that's true. And it's got its pros and its cons. One of its pros is that we have access to information at the blink of an eye. I can Google vulnerability, look it up like we did in the last episode, and then define it, and then it changed my life. That episode, literally, I had a breakthrough. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I ever fully understood vulnerability until now. Now, that's the benefit. What's the downside? The downside is that we can also click and find a bunch of things that are mainly marketing. I want you to think of marketing as just the tip of the iceberg. But what is truly holding up that tip of the iceberg, that shiny object that you're looking at, is things far deeper that you cannot see. Because I'll give you an example. The personal development industry is incredibly notorious for this. Let me tell you how easy it is to change your life so that I can sell you a product and then in the product tell you that it's going to be really freaking hard.
Yeah.
Kevin and I were literally in Florida with one of our mentors, shout out to T-Mac, And T-Mac showed us an infomercial
Oh my god.
of this dude selling a product. I think it was a tea, an herbal tea
It
or
was an
some
herbal
shit.
tea that you can lose
72 pounds in 3 weeks and keep it
something
off.
ridiculous.
And it literally was like, oh, this will just be a 7-minute video. Don't
Yeah.
worry. It was literally lying through his teeth. This man was lying through his teeth. We'll keep this anonymous. The reason why T-Mac showed us that is because he said, Alan and Kevin, you two are trying to tell people the truth about what it actually takes to get fit. And this person is making hundreds of thousands of dollars more than you. I think it was the highest hitter of like the fitness programs on some website. But the point is this dude had like a beer gut.
Yeah.
This dude was
Yeah, he
not
wasn't
leading
in
by
shape.
example, and he was lying through his teeth. If there's anything I know, it's fitness. And this dude was blatantly lying. I saw an ad today that showed a picture of a very obese woman next to another picture of that same woman with her shirt like pulled out. Basically, she had lost 100 pounds. And it literally said verbatim that the 2 vegetables that you can start eating to shed dozens of pounds in weeks.
Yeah.
What do you mean the 2 vegetables, the super secret hidden vegetables? There are no new secrets. It's all bullshit. And I think the internet just perpetuates this tornado of crap that I think we're falling victim to. And I want to make sure people are getting long form content where you actually get educated instead of just entertained.
Fired up!
I know, right?
All right, so going back to the same thing, man. There have always been commercials,
Right.
for 6-minute abs, 5-minute abs.
Yeah.
I'm coming out with 3-minute abs, so don't try to take it. There's always been commercials, right? But at that time, you had to have a product and you had to have some finances to back that,
Right.
and get a TV spot and an advertisement spot.
Right.
Now, you can literally make anything you want and advertise it on your Instagram.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to work, and that's the dangerous thing. Now,
Right.
I know we're harping on the negatives, but of course we are, because the positives speak for themselves.
Yeah, the positives are great.
Alan and I both created online training programs that we're now selling on the website.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be an
A lot.
influencer.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you know what you're teaching is
Right,
real.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the positives kind of speak for themselves. The negatives are what I don't want to focus on them, but I do want to make sure that they're seen.
At least uncover them.
Yeah, I think I'm very scared for the young women, for the girls that are
Right.
7, 8, 9, 10 right now, who are looking at this and they're seeing all the attention that these girls in bathing suits get.
I know.
That's fine. If you want to be a model, a fitness model, if whatever, and you're confident in your body, that's awesome. You are.
Yeah.
Right? I have nothing against that.
Right.
But I don't ever want you to always compare yourself to those people.
Right.
Because that's going to set you up for a lot of negativity and a lot of self-consciousness. And I just don't think it's good. I don't think it's good.
My goodness. This is a good episode. This is a needed episode.
I know.
For sure.
We're preaching truth. But I don't think I don't think a lot of people talk about the stuff that, I told you at the beginning of the episode, I was a little bit nervous to talk about this because I didn't want to come off as like a hater or a dick, but it's...
You're not. You're not coming off as that,
I appreciate
in my
that.
opinion.
I appreciate
but
that.
then again, I agree with you so much on
right,
this topic.
right.
So
Then again, you're a dick too.
Yeah.
Right? Two dicks in a podcast here.
Right.
I think that I
Jeez,
always...
did you just call me a dick?
Yes, I did. I always, you know me, I like to be authentic and I want to be truthful, and I just would hate for somebody to... Let's do this. I would not be able to live with myself if I was portraying somebody that I am not, and that affected somebody's life in a positive or negative way. Even if it was positive. Because I want to be me. If I can't help you as myself, I can't help you.
I think that's fire.
You
That's
know
a
what I
good
mean?
quote right there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why, we try not to market.
It's difficult. It's very difficult to try to brand yourself and to market yourself when you don't want to sugarcoat the truth. Because think about Great Value. It's a food brand, and their marketing is not to market. It's basically like a plain package, and even that is their version of branding.
Yeah.
And their version of marketing,
cheaper.
right? The facade versus the reality. We all do this. I mean, picture it this way. Like, if you're at a party and you're dressed a certain way and you meet someone new, that person only quite literally can see that version of you. They don't have any other data to go on. They don't know you any better. They've never had deep conversations with you. All they know, you only get one chance at a first impression. And at that party, that is their first impression, and that's all the data they have to go off of. So that's kind of what marketing is. I guess, so I wrote this flashcard, and now that we're out of time, I want to give this to the listeners because it's not just, social media is not the problem. Social media has perpetuated an existing problem, and it's made it, it's magnified it.
Yeah. More accessible.
So, for example, this flashcard that I wrote earlier today for preparation for this episode is something that's always been a problem. But I want the listeners to think about how much this problem right here has perpetuated and magnified because of social media. Okay, so I was watching a course earlier where Mike Tyson was basically, so Darren Hardy and his wife, Darren Daly, I get an email every morning, and I watch those courses because Darren's the GOAT at teaching. But he went to an event with Mike Tyson on stage where Mike Tyson wanted to reveal the truth about his career. And so Darren did, So Darren
Big
did
fan of Mike Tyson. Big fan.
So in the digital world, and I wrote this on a flashcard, in the digital world, Mike Tyson, you might have seen a picture of Mike Tyson winning the heavyweight champion belt. Okay? Youngest heavyweight boxing champion of all time.
Ever.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
At the time, I don't know if it still is.
In the real world, now, if you're out there right now, you probably can picture Mike Tyson in your mind right now, either on a movie or winning the belt or winning a fight or whatever. That's the digital world, okay? And that's even before social media. The real world, Mike Tyson said this: no one wants to get up and run at 4 a.m. when it's cold and pitch dark, but it has to be done. And the only reason I do it so early is because I believe the other guy isn't doing it. And that gives me the little edge I need. The perception in the digital world on TV, magazines, photographs, social media, movies is Mike Tyson as the famous Mike Tyson you know. What you never got to see and never will see is him running at 4 a.m. Now imagine that problem perpetuated with everyone.
Big fan of Mike Tyson.
That is social media.
Big fan of Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He's pretty, believe it or not, he is actually pretty hyper-conscious. Looking back on his career, he's not happy with the person he was.
I know.
He doesn't even like fighting anymore.
Should get him on the show at some point.
I would love to get him on the show.
Right.
That would be definitely a dream come true. I remember I watched all of his fights. I was a big fan of his. Yeah, this is an interesting episode. This is a very interesting episode. I think one of the things is, like, even at the beginning of this episode when I said go to the website and check out our courses, right? I very easily could have told you, guys, changing's easy. Becoming hyper-conscious is super easy. All you have to do is go watch these courses and
you'll be a millionaire.
And the next thing you know, you'll wake up a different person. Will you eventually wake up a different person? Yeah, if you put in the work.
Right.
Right? But I can't, in good faith, within my own core values, lie. So we say what we say. Go check out the courses. Not everybody does it that way. Some people will say this will make you a millionaire immediately, or they'll show you a fake car or a fake jet. And, I know we're focusing on the negatives, but I think the negatives hurt people, and I want to make sure you guys don't get hurt. Dramatic reading time?
It is dramatic reading time.
Well, hold on. You said you were doing your reading out of the book.
I know, but I changed.
You changed it up.
I changed in real time.
Mid-rep.
So this is an article that I wrote on my LinkedIn called "What is Social Media Really?"
Oh, man.
And this is just an excerpt out of it. This is not the whole article, but here we go. Any new technology is basically just a new tool. And as with all tools, they have the power to help create or the power to help destroy. Which one, however, typically depends on the wielder. In other words, it's not the gun's fault, it's who's holding it. Okay, so, and that's a whole other thing.
Right.
That's just an
You gotta
example.
watch your words.
Right, I know, right? So that's the secret. Like so many other aspects of life, social media isn't good or bad. We love to categorize things and generalize, but nothing is ever really that black and white. Social media puts the potential power of mass influence into each of our hands, and it's up to us to choose what we make of it. And this is what Kevin was just describing. If you're loving, passionate, and a giving person who wants to do good things for yourself and others, then social media is likely a powerful force for good, used to positively impact the lives of others through your own unique effort, goals, and character. However, if the opposite is true, then social media is more likely a beacon of selfishness used to spread ignorance, manipulate facts for personal gain, or perhaps somewhere in between. Bottom line, as a species, social connection is our strongest and most natural biological imperative. It's how we grow, build, create, communicate, and procreate. We cross-pollinate knowledge and strategies constantly to learn and build off one another. It's how we progress. Unless something cataclysmic happens to our planet, the growth trends discussed earlier are not going away. I was referencing the growth of social media. So here's the thing. social media isn't going anywhere unless something cataclysmic, like I said, happens. So because technology advances far faster than our consciousness, it brings up new challenges. So I would argue that we need to raise our awareness of how marketing and branding and social media and Instagram and movies and all that stuff actually works, so that we can stay hyper conscious of the fact that we're comparing ourselves and others to something that isn't real. We like on this podcast to find influencers and positive people and world-class performers and then pull back the curtain on what's true. Is it possible to give everyone's life story all the time so that you always know the whole truth? No. But the more you realize that social media is not real, the less you'll take things at face value, and therefore the more truth you can base your life upon.
I think the biggest takeaway is we're trying to help you grow your awareness of what social media actually is.
Right.
And making sure that you have the correct association with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize you realize it for what it is.
Right.
A lot of it is a show, and it is.
You said this earlier. Reality TV is not even reality.
No,
right?
No, it's scripted.
Yep,
it's
and
scripted.
So is Instagram. So
Right.
is it's all.
Guys, reality isn't always that fun.
Right.
You know, that's why you post your highlights on Instagram, because reality isn't always that fun. So you have to make, if I posted what I did on the daily, it would be me editing videos and editing this podcast
Right.
and sitting here.
Right.
Now, obviously, I get to do some cool stuff. We get to travel. We get to meet cool people, but it's not like that every day.
Right.
So, my biggest goal for you guys is to take away the fact that the more aware you become of anything, of this is just one of the facets of life now. I want you to become as hyper-conscious as you can when it comes to belief and self-confidence and relationships and fitness and social media and communication and all those things, everything.
Oh, yeah.
But this is just one of the facets of that, and it's getting bigger and bigger. I actually read in Canada, Instagram got rid of likes.
Interesting.
That you can't see how many likes you get anymore because it was freaking people out. It was messing with people's brains. And people are far happier now. Because that right there breeds comparison.
Yeah, it does.
But again, it's social media, I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. So I just want to make sure that you guys are using it for the right way. And if you're not using it for the right way, at least you understand the downside, and then you get to make your decision. As long as you're informed, then your decision is yours, and it's informed.
I have one tiny analogy.
Sure.
And then
analogies
then we'll go.
are life.
So I used to play. I've used this analogy before.
Here we go.
I
You're
used
talking
to,
about video games?
you know it. So I used to play a game called Diablo 2, and it's an RPG where basically you'd had a character in a game in a virtual world, and you would go on quests to serve and to help others and to save lives and to save the world, really. And there were levels in this game from 0 to 1 all the way to 99. And as you leveled up, you got to add skills and vitality, strength, mana, all that different points to your character. So you developed your character over time. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours on this game. I actually, at one point, was one of the best in the world. Just saying.
Humble brag.
But right. But here's the thing. After I left that virtual world, I was still the same man. At this time, a boy. I was the same boy. I wasn't getting better in the real world. Now, were there certain cognitive benefits to me strategizing in the game and developing my brain? Of course, okay? And there was community. Me and my friends all played. There was social aspects. I'm not hating on video games here. What I'm saying is that digital world versus real world, what's your ratio? If there's 24 hours in a day and you spend 8 sleeping, that's 16 left. How many of those hours are you spending in the digital world on Instagram, video games, Snapchat, all that stuff versus your actual life? I would argue if you want to market and brand, I get it. Digital world, you got to master that. But spend most of your time actually getting better in the real world first.
You were speaking about a quest. After this episode, I am going to be taking a quest to take all of the tacos from Taco Bell. Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel like this would help somebody, please share this episode with them. I think this is one of the things that Alan and I are most passionate about, because this is something that everybody, if you're watching this, you have access to social media, more likely than not. And again, we just want to make sure that you're using it the right way. And if you're not, you know that. So if you think this is valuable to somebody else, please share it with them. Up next, we are actually going to be sitting down with Eddie Panero.
Eddie P.
For a round 3. So Eddie Pinero is now our boy. He's
Yeah.
now a good friend of ours. We do a mastermind with him every week, aka once a month, because it usually falls through because one of us is doing something, traveling or whatever it may be. But he sends us his songs before he posts them. We get all like the behind the scenes stuff. And we thought it would be super cool to sit down with somebody who at one time was literally a dream guest and is now
Our boy.
And we might be able to dig a little bit deeper about what he's going through. And it would be more of like a friendly conversation as opposed to like a, firing questions his way.
This is going to be perfect as well to the next episode because your perception of Eddie in the digital world versus we're going to pull back the curtain on who he really is, and we've gotten to know him.
Yeah.
It's going to be wonderful. And Eddie struggles with this whole branding and marketing thing just as much as we do, so it's going to be good.
It's going to be a good rep. So we hope you enjoyed this one. We hope you will enjoy that one, and we will talk to you later.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.